up approaching the woman, and then the women in my life complain that it's only the creeps that approach them, when it's really we women need to be giving off way more intense. There's like this huge problem.
Why men don't approach women anymore. So historically, women have always waited for men to make the first move. Is he going to go in for the kiss? Is he going to hold my hand? But now, whenever I talk to my friends about their dating history, all I hear them talking about is, oh, he hasn't made a move. He's not doing anything. We're not moving forward. So on the flip side of this normally ends up in men feeling like they're getting ghosted or that there's just being told there's no spark. And from what I'm hearing from a lot of my clients, it's not because that you're not attracted to her. It's more about fearing that you're either going to get rejected, maybe you're going to get turned down, slapped in the face when you go for that first move, or even worse, like getting in trouble with the law. So you need to ask yourself, does this sound like you? The truth is, you probably missed that golden opportunity to create that spark. She likely was giving you signals that you just didn't quite catch. Why men don't approach women.
Here's the classic female gaslighting playbook in full effect. First, they create a hostile environment where approaching women gets you labeled as a predator, creep, or worse. Then when men logically respond by backing off, suddenly it's our fault for missing signals. These women want the power to reject and humiliate men without consequences while still maintaining plausible deniability that they're actually receptive. The signals they're talking about are so subtle and ambiguous that they're essentially meaningless. A smile could mean anything. Eye contact could mean anything. But if you misread their signal, you're suddenly a loser who can't take a hint. This is psychological manipulation at its finest. They've created a system where men are expected to be mind readers, where we're supposed to decode their mysterious signals while simultaneously respecting their boundaries and not being too aggressive or persistent. It's an impossible standard designed to keep men in a constant state of confusion and self-doubt. They want us to approach, but only if we're the right guy, in other words, a highly attractive man. They want us to be confident but not entitled. They want us to be persistent but not creepy. These aren't dating guidelines. They're a psychological minefield designed to give women maximum power and men maximum anxiety.
I need to know from a men's perspective, are you all waiting on girls to talk to you first? Like, are you waiting?
Let me explain something. I am somebody who does not approach girls very often, that I don't know. Let me clarify. Why do I do this? Is it like the girl says, am I just not man enough? Maybe. Or potentially, does it have something to do with the fact that the last, year, most of the content that we consume as men is women making it very loud and clear that they do not want men talking to them. They don't want it so bad that they want to be in a forest with a deadly bear over a man. But then when we hear them loud and clear, we take their feelings into account, we go, okay, fine, we understand, we won't talk to you. Now, we're just feminine. Oh, you're waiting for the girl to come talk to you. Oh, blah, 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 blah. But then when I take your feelings into account and I go, I'm not going to approach this stranger because I can come across like a scary bear man. Now all of a sudden, I'm feminine. I am actually not man enough because I am listening to what you are basically telling me to do. I've never understood how a girl can make a video like this and act like she can't fathom why a guy would not want to approach girls anymore after seeing plenty of content that guys have heard loud and clear. You do not like us. We get it. This is why, in my opinion, a lot of the guys who are willing to approach girls are not going to be guys I feel like long term you're going to be able to date, because it shows that the guy lacks a certain amount of empathy. A group of friends who love to go and hit on girls. They literally will take time out of their weekend schedule to go to the mall, not to buy anything, just to walk around and hit on girls. And they'll get some girls' numbers. They actually do get some girls' numbers during this time. I've always wondered, and it's always fascinated me, that the girls who give out their numbers, do they not understand that a guy who is willing to just go up and approach you and just not think about the fact that maybe a girl doesn't want to be approached, probably does this to everybody, probably hits on everybody. And then you girls will want that kind of guy over a guy who's like, no, that'll make her uncomfortable. You know, I've heard loud and clear that they think we're creepy. If she's interested, she'll give me a look or do something that clearly, you know, is a little bit more showing maturity. The whole point is that there is no right answer, because you guys make countless amounts of videos talking about how you guys would rather be in a forest with a deadly bear, but then you also are going to make videos talking about how we're so feminine. We need to start approaching more random women, even when they are screaming loud and clear, do not talk to us. So which one is it? Because remember, the guys who are willing to approach you, 9 out of 10 times, they're not gonna last very long. They're doing this to everybody.
This man is not falling for the shaming tactics. He's not accepting the label of not man enough for making a rational decision based on the information he's been given. He's calling out the obvious contradiction in women's messaging and refusing to be gaslit into believing that his logical response to their hostility is somehow a character flaw. But notice what happens when men show this level of awareness. They get labeled as feminine, weak, or not masculine enough. This is how the system maintains itself. Any man who questions the game gets shamed back into compliance. Any man who points out the obvious contradictions gets told he's making excuses. Any man who refuses to participate in this rigged system gets accused of giving up or being scared. This is a perfect example of how modern women use shame as a weapon to maintain control over male behavior. When their actions have natural consequences, like men deciding not to approach them, they don't examine their own behavior. Instead, they double down on shaming men for responding rationally to an irrational system.
I didn't know from a men's perspective.
Why no men are actually approaching women in society today when it comes to relationships or dating. And this is going to be a tough pill to swallow, but it's because of how the women interact with men when men try to respectfully approach you and get to know you. These are the types of responses I get from other men in their interactions with women. The number one thing I hear from them is fear of rejection. No surprise there. No one likes to get metaphorically slapped in the face when you're trying to meet a beautiful woman and you're just trying to have a general conversation to see if they want to connect with you. Men think that they're not worthy enough, that because their life seems normal, the women are just disinterested in them. And this is always a good one. We come off looking like a creep just because we want to have a normal conversation. I keep hearing rejection, rejection, rejection. More or less, we just become a bother. And then this one is my favorite of all. Men not feeling like they can live up to the standards of what this individual wants the man to have. I'm not 6 foot. I don't make 6 figures. I don't do this, this, and this. I don't have this IQ. I don't have this kind of job. I don't speak this way. I don't look this way. I don't have the jawline. It's unending because society has conditioned women to foster this idea, this environment that leads to all of the singleness and the sole reason why men do not want to be in a relationship today.
These men just expose the fundamental hypocrisy of modern women's behavior. They spend years creating viral content about how much they hate being approached by men, how they'd rather encounter a bear in the woods than a man, how every male approach is inherently threatening and unwelcome. They make TikToks about how creepy and disgusting it is when men try to talk to them. They create an entire social media ecosystem dedicated to shaming male sexuality and romantic interest. But then, and here's where it gets really insidious, they turn around and complain that men don't approach them anymore. They want to have it both ways. They want the power to publicly shame and humiliate men for expressing interest while still enjoying the validation and attention that comes from being pursued. This isn't ignorance, this is calculated manipulation. They know exactly what they're doing. They're creating an environment where only the most aggressive, boundary-crossing men will continue to approach women, which gives them the perfect excuse to continue complaining about the quality of men who pursue them.
So what is it? Like, what do women need to do to be approachable?
So apparently single men are starting to become afraid to approach women in real life because they don't want to be viewed as creepy.
So it's been brought to my attention that men no longer want to come up to women anymore. Due to sex allegations, women being just so rude and disrespectful, and rejection. I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know men didn't want to come up to women anymore. I'm barely finding this out. Why do women choose to cuss guys out when they come up to them and approach them? I have no idea. I apologize for that. But there's just too many fine men. And if it takes me, the women, having to come up to you guys and shooting my shot, saying what's up, being the big stepper, then I'll just have to do that. And I'm going to just start coming up to you guys and shooting out compliments and see where it takes me. So if I start coming up to y'all in the grocery store and I say, excuse me, sir, you are just so sexy, I want a response. Okay, I don't want none of that shy stuff.
I hate when I think a man's good looking and then I look at him and then he doesn't approach me. Like, did you not see me just look right at you? Like, that was your sign. Like, that was me shooting my shot. Like, I looked right at you. Like, I looked away pretty quickly. Like, it was kind of one of these, you know? But, like, that was your sign.
Yo, I don't see the point of approaching women or bagging women. There's no point unless you know. The only way you get her is if you already know she's into you.
So what if you're out somewhere and you find an attractive woman? You're not going to go up to her?
There's no point.
Why?
Because they choose. There's absolutely no point of, what do you mean how?
But how do you know you're not chosen if you don't go up to her?
You don't have to go up to her. Yo, when a woman wants what she wants, she shows you that she wants it.
Not all women do that.
Y'all looking at the camera, lie and say y'all don't. These women listen, there's dudes that don't gotta do nothing but breathe. Hey, I think you're so handsome. I think you're this. Women will come up to them. I used to be one of those guys. And then
Which one were you? Come on now, which one were you? The one that women used to come up to you?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Real talk, many men don't approach because they're afraid of expressing their sexual desires. In fact, a lot of them are ashamed of it because they don't want to be labeled as a creep by some crazy TikTok chick. So they refrain from doing it altogether, and then they end up being seen as not bold or masculine enough for the women they want, when in reality, they're just trying to be respectful. Ladies, I'm not defending bad behavior. One of my most uncomfortable memories is walking around Beirut in a blue fitted dress, having men gawk and whistle at me. But you have to understand, a lot of this is confusing to men. On the one hand, we ask them to leave us alone, but on the other hand, we complain that they don't approach us. So what do I propose? If you want to be approached, make it obvious. Get off your phone when you're in public, smile and say hi. Let's be collaborative instead of contributing to the problem.
Times I would never approach a woman as a guy. If she's in the middle of a rep at a gym, wait until after, but make it short, make it direct. I don't care if you have the best intentions in the world, do not approach her if she's walking alone at night. And 3, if she's visibly upset or crying. I had a guy do this to me once. I was like visibly crying because I was searching for my cat who got out, and he was like hitting on me. Oh my God, I wanted to punch him in the face. Did I leave any out? Go ahead and comment below.
What happened to men pursuing girls? When was the pivotal moment that a man chose to not go after a girl anymore or put in any effort? It seems like guys can just put the bare minimum and not even really put in effort anymore. They don't really care to. Or they're like, why don't girls just go and make the first move and make the effort? When did it become a thing? Now it's like role reversal where they expect girls to be making the first moves, yearning for a guy and chasing him. That is, I feel like, the downfall of why it's so hard to meet someone, because men don't put in effort.
There's plenty of pivotal moments. How about when a woman called a man weak for opening her car door? Or the time that men pursued women on dating apps and him saying, hey, how are you, wasn't good enough? How about the pivotal moment when a man is looking out into the open and happens to glance in a woman's direction and somehow he's undressing her with his eyes? Or how about the moment when women considered everything the bare minimum and nothing is ever good enough? Or what about the pivotal moment where men have to fix everything in a relationship to make it work and women have to simply exist? Or how about the time there was a study done that said 80% of women find men unattractive, so why would they try anymore? Or the pivotal moment where men can be accused of SA or grape at any given moment by accident just because a woman is pissed off because she was rejected? Or what about the pivotal moment that women have constantly told men that they're so undesirable that they would rather pick a bear over a human being, as if men don't have feelings? Or how about the pivotal moment that every single man that ever chased a woman was considered a simp and women simply didn't respect them or want to be with them because they're chasing and they're trying too hard? What about the pivotal moment when the nice guy gets left because he's not toxic enough? Or what about the pivotal moment where men can't even simply be respectful without it being considered creepy or too friendly? Or what about the time that women decided that not even Cheesecake Factory was good enough for a first date? That they didn't want to get to know men for who they are. They wanted to know how much money they made and their status. And I don't know about you, but that doesn't sound worth chasing.
There've been a few comments like this where guys have said they won't approach because they don't want to make a woman feel uncomfortable. I don't quite get comments like this because talk to women in a way that you would any other female in your life. Your female friends, your sister, your mum. Like, you wouldn't be talking to any of them in a way that makes them feel uncomfortable unless you're being aggressive in some way. A simple hi, hello, how you going doesn't make people feel uncomfortable. That's how a normal person talks to another person. But if you're not getting anything back, then I would stop the conversation there and step back. You will make her feel uncomfortable though if you don't leave her alone when she is clearly not interested, or if you come on too strong. So keep it simple. Talk to girls the way you would talk to any other female in your life that, you know, is close to you. It doesn't have to be any serious intentions behind it. It could be as simple as just trying to get to know them and being friendly. There've been a few comments like this where guys have said they won't approach because they don't want to make...
I don't know what man needs to answer this question, but how come when y'all see a woman and you see that she's not in the mood to speak to anybody, that's the best time y'all think to pursue her? If I don't look like I want to be spoken to, why are you telling me to put a smile on my face? Want me to be walking around like this? I don't know what man needs to answer this question, but how...
Women are failing men. Ladies, the reason that no man is approaching you is because of you, not them. I did the dirty work and asked men why they were afraid to talk to you and got over 5,000 responses. And there was definitely a common theme. Let's read some. I would say fear of rejection and being humiliated in front of everyone. I am not worthy enough to talk to women. I just have nothing to offer them except boring, normal life. Rejection paralyzes me. Current culture feels like I will be perceived as a creep for talking to a girl I don't know. Mostly it's the fear of rejection, like I'm bothering them somehow. Rejection maybe, ending up on TikTok if you get my drift. Worried about being judged for not meeting the woman's appearance standards. So to the ladies, do better. The environment that you've created for men is only leading to the singleness that you continue to complain about. And to the men, maybe knowing that these responses were a trend amongst 5,000 of you is a bit reassuring if anything.
5,000 men gave the same responses about why they don't approach women anymore. This isn't a coincidence, this is data. These aren't isolated incidents or individual neuroses. This is a systematic response to systematic hostility. But notice how this woman frames it. Even when confronted with overwhelming evidence that women's behavior has created this problem, she still can't fully acknowledge female responsibility. She treats 5,000 men reporting the same experience as something that might be reassuring, rather than a damning indictment of how women have treated men. This is classic female psychology. Even when faced with undeniable evidence of cause and effect, they'll find ways to minimize their role and redirect responsibility back to men. They'll acknowledge that maybe, possibly, perhaps women might have played some small role in creating this environment, but they'll never fully accept accountability for the consequences of their actions. The singleness epidemic isn't happening to women, it's happening because of women. They created the conditions that made relationships unsustainable for most men, and now they're experiencing the natural consequences of pricing themselves out of the market.
A man being concerned about being viewed as creepy while approaching a woman shows an awareness of the reality of violence that women face when they are approached by men, when they deal with men, when they're talked to by men, when they're harassed by men, cackled by men, etc. And he does not want to be a part of said reality. There is literally nothing negative about men starting to be hyper aware of how they're interacting with women. There's no negative to that because it's been on the other end of the spectrum for so long, right? Like, men have been so used to women being at their disposal and their availability whenever they want to, right? That now some men see it as a slight that, oh my God, I have to worry about being viewed as a creep. You have to worry about being viewed as a creep while we have to worry about death.
This is the ultimate female victim card being played to justify the complete demoralization of male sexuality. She's claiming that women's safety concerns justify treating all male romantic interest as potentially dangerous and unwelcome. She's using the worst possible male behavior to justify discrimination against all men. But let's examine this logically. If women are genuinely in constant fear for their lives from male attention, why are they simultaneously complaining that men don't approach them anymore? If male attention is so dangerous and threatening, shouldn't they be celebrating the fact that men have stopped giving them that attention? The truth is that women aren't actually afraid of men. They're using fear as a weapon to control male behavior and maintain their position of power in the sexual marketplace. They're exploiting genuine safety concerns to justify their preference for only being approached by the top-tier men they're actually attracted to. This is emotional manipulation on a massive scale. They're using women's safety as a shield to deflect criticism of their impossible standards and hostile behavior toward men. They're weaponizing victimhood to avoid taking responsibility for the consequences of their own choices and actions.
This is not a slight to you if you are concerned about being viewed as creepy. You should be. You should be thinking, how am I going to approach this woman in a way that is not going to scare her, that is not going to creep her out or freak her out or make her feel like I am dangerous. You should absolutely be thinking that. And then for the men that are like, well, how am I supposed to date women now? Oh my gosh, like, how am I supposed to go on dates? Do you hear yourself? Your complaint is that going out on dates with women is now going to be harder for you. That doesn't sound like the most privileged thing. Being harder for y'all to approach us is not oppression. That is not a slight to you. That is a byproduct of the violence that we have to deal with and face. It's a byproduct of all these other men in the world that make that so difficult. A black woman and girl was killed every 6 hours in 2020. Around 81% of women in general deal with sexual harassment. Women get killed for saying no to men on the street. Until those statistics and statistics like it stop, we have a right to not be sure if you as a man approaching us is going to be one of those men. And you need to start thinking about your behavior and making sure you do not become one of those men or come off as one of those men. This is not a negative thing. A lot of y'all need to be concerned about being viewed as a creep.
Listen to this logic carefully. Men should be concerned about being viewed as creepy for the simple act of expressing romantic interest in women. But somehow this is supposed to be motivating. This woman is telling men that their natural biological impulse to approach women they're attracted to should be filtered through fear and anxiety about being perceived as dangerous. She's confirming exactly why men don't approach, because women have made it clear that male romantic interest is inherently threatening and unwelcome unless it comes from the exact right man at the exact right time in the exact right way. She's telling men to live in a constant state of anxiety about whether their basic human desires for connection and intimacy are going to be perceived as predatory. She's conditioning men to internalize shame about their own sexuality while presenting it as being considerate. She's training men to approach every interaction with women from a position of guilt and fear, which is exactly the opposite of what creates attraction. But here's the really insidious part. She's simultaneously telling men that this anxiety and self-doubt is attractive and necessary while also complaining that men don't approach with confidence anymore. She wants men to be scared enough to be controllable but confident enough to be attractive. It's another impossible standard designed to keep men off balance and women in control.
To my ladies, I need you to listen to me for a second. This is for you. Guys have no problem pursuing you, I promise you. It's in our nature to want to go after the woman that we want. But the reason why a lot of us men do not care to pursue women anymore is because we know in our hearts that we're in competition with so many other guys. And before you sit there and say, oh, what's wrong with a little bit of competition? These women know that. And instead of y'all going after the guy that y'all know is truly good for you, you'll sit there and let these men fight for you over and over again until the last one is standing. And quite frankly, for me, if I know I'm in competition with another guy and a girl is playing me against another dude, yeah, not happening. See, a problem with a lot of women, not all women, but a lot of women is that y'all ego tells y'all that y'all have so many options. But I'm gonna tell you something as a man. Just because a lot of men want you does not mean they want you for real. A lot of these dudes lust after y'all. A lot of these dudes only want you for your flesh. So while you playing games with the dude that really rock with y'all, you choose the dude who really just want to use you, and then after he done with you, you end up saying all guys ain't shit, but really you the problem. Like I said before, I ain't got no problem going up to a girl, asking her for a phone number and everything like that. But as soon as I see that there's no interest, that's where you lost me. A lot of guys with self-respect are not going to sit around and just boost your ego while you entertaining other dudes. I go for the woman that want me.
Are you hearing yourselves? Like, do you like women? What exactly is the tactic here? To beat down the self-esteem of all women collectively so that we have no choice but to lower our standards and accept your low effort / mediocre love attempts? I never said that men don't approach me when I go out. I was pointing out a pattern of behavior I was seeing at a party that I was at that I feel like is more representative of the average NYC man. Stingy men are a huge ick, so we are immediately not compatible. Reading through the comments in that last video, you guys sound pathetic. Why would any woman date you? Like being told off rip that you have zero desire to put in the effort to make any romantic connection work. Like you don't want to show interest by buying a drink. What is wrong with you? Who raised you? Like why do you think that's a good thing to admit on the internet? Like why go to parties then? What was the point of getting dressed? That particular party was not free, so why would you pay for a ticket? As a man hearing these questions, if your mind immediately jumps to I'm accusing you of being gay, then you just don't have the critical thinking skills required to like meaningfully engage in this discussion. Because it goes beyond buying drinks. It really just communicates that in a relationship you are not willing to do the things that you know will make your partner happy or feel desired. And fear of rejection, like be fucking for real. You know who has a real reason to fear rejection? Women. Like we can literally die over a man's ego. Get some confidence and figure it out, because insecure men are literally a danger hazard for women. I've had a man literally chase me down the street and try to throw water bottles at my head simply because I didn't respond to a compliment that he gave me because I was walking down the street with headphones in.
And ask her for her name and try to start a conversation. You feel me? That's the first thing. The second thing is that you guys label that as toxic to only the men that you're not interested in. The problem with the men that you are interested in, the one that you are throwing all those hints to, well, guess what? Those men have a whole bunch of other better looking women throwing hints at them too. You can't compete, and that's what you need to understand. You can't compete with the other types of females that are throwing the same hints to those type of dudes, man. A lot of women forgot that they are average at best. You know, most of y'all below average. You feel me? So you need average or below average dude to feel comfortable approaching you. But when the average and below average dude feels like, man, if I approach any female at any time, this could turn real ugly for me. I mean, you're already screaming at the camera, man. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, y'all did it to yourselves, ladies.
And we were just talking about how men never approach women.
Is this seriously coming as a surprise? And no, it's not for the following reasons about to be mentioned.
And I get it, it's nerve-wracking, it's uncomfortable, it could be like severe rejection, all these things, but
what?
It's frustrating when it feels like women have to do all of the work.
Oh yes, how terrible. It must be absolutely awful to have to put forth some effort into actually approaching someone that a person might be interested in. I can see why some women are complaining, because traditionally, men did all that work.
And we were sitting there observing, and there was only one girl that was really talking to a few men, and every single time she was approaching them.
Wait, I thought that's what some women wanted. It's almost like I have to keep repeating myself here. It seems that some women only want equality, only when it benefits them. But when it comes to actually getting something that they want, some women just expect it to come to them.
So what is it? Like, what do women need to do to be approachable?
Ma'am, hi. Hi. You look good.
Thanks.
What's your name? I do not have time for that shit. I ain't gonna lie, that's how you do it every time. Every time.
Do you know where I can find your phone number? I saw you and I thought you were pretty. What's your name?
Pass.
What's your name?
I don't give it out.
Okay.
Okay, can somebody please explain to me further what the hell happened in the last 8 years that I've been out of the dating pool that men are so afraid to approach women in public? And I was even having a conversation with a man last night about this, and I asked him, why don't you? And his answer like broke my heart. He said he didn't want to come off as a predator.
Morgan Stanley predicted that 45% of women between the ages of 25 and 44 will be single and childless by 2030.
Tell me why I get so mad when an ugly man
approaches me.
So am I like the only woman that no longer gets approached by men?
Okay, so last night I was talking to my friend and I was telling her about how I'm gonna trap a man because I'm almost 38.
Why does a man stare at you but never approach you?
Obviously, as a woman would like the men to approach me, but nowadays it hasn't been happening. Feels like the roles have been switched.
Let me tell you what I have noticed. I've noticed that when I go out, men don't approach me.
Women need to start making the first move. If anyone wants to be in a relationship, that's absolutely what has to happen. It just has to happen.
Why men have given up on women?
You may feel like you never get approached or that men never pursue you.
Guys are scared to talk to girls now. Even if they see someone, they might not want to approach you.
Men are no longer obsessed with women anymore.
The reason why so many beautiful, well-rounded women cannot find a partner is because a lot of parents failed their sons. My mom on a walk had asked me, we know so many beautiful, well-rounded girls, why are they single? I responded with, your generation was so hard on the girls. Like, we literally had to be made out of glass. We couldn't afford to make mistakes. Failure was not in our vocabulary. Like, we literally had to be perfect. So now you have this large group of women that are almost like overperforming. So now you have this large group of women who know how to take care of a home, know how to take care of themselves, are family oriented, but they also have the ambition of a man and are career focused. Overall, they are performing at standards and expectations that are so high because back home, specifically, my parents are from India. Back home, women weren't granted the same privileges and rights back home in India. So my mom still had me performing the gender norms of a good Indian daughter, but I was encouraged to basically utilize the freedom that I had. Parents failed their sons because while so much pressure is being put on women, nothing was put on their boys. They were and are still coddled. They're not independent, meaning that they're codependent on their parents for multiple things. Also, no sense of leadership. They're consistently relying on a system for guidance. Parents failed their sons because while so much pressure is being put on women, nothing was put on their boys. They were and are still coddled. They're not independent, meaning that they're codependent on their parents for multiple things. Also have no sense of leadership. They're consistently relying on a system for guidance and direction instead of building like that inner voice and trying to take initiative to build their life. That's why women are single. Because not only did we have to fight the life that we wanted, it was completely possible to do that. Though it was hard, it was possible. But there are men that don't want to utilize this opportunity to better themselves and like have dreams and have goals. Instead, they're looking for a partner to be a replacement for their mom.
This is like one of my favorite things to observe and watch is different energies, masculine energy, feminine energy in myself and also in the people around me. So tonight I'm at a club/bar and I'm super just like flowy, dancing the whole time, and I realize I'm not approached by any men. So my old way of being is like, okay, just go into your masculine energy and go up to them and do what you have to do. So in me, what happened was my energy just got like extra, and I was like overpowered energy, and I was using that, and like millions of guys were talking to me, no guys that I wanted, but they were just easy to talk to because I just gave them energy. And after a while, I just got like, what am I doing? Like, I feel drained right now. So I went and sat down and I was observing it keep on coming up and trying to fix the situation. I just watched it. And then I sat down and I was like, fuck. I was like, I'm going mad. And so I went up to this guy who was just dancing. And I was like, and I just told him. I told him why, like what was going on in my mind. And this is what he said to me. This is the whole point of me making this video. He said, the reason why, well, first he came from my shoulders, he came from my not smiling, and he says the reason why men don't approach you and the whole problem with women is because women are looking for a guy to take care of them. They are raised to believe that guys should take care of them. And I was like, well, I don't know what generation you're in because a lot of women in my generation make a lot of money, and they make a lot of money and they still want guys to take care of them. Is that true? And I'm somebody that had this in my consciousness, this was something that needed to be brought to the surface, right? Because I've been struggling with this. I was like, yeah. And he started dancing. He had like a happy dance, and I was like, and then we had a conversation and finished it off. And it ended with me feeling so healed and secure within my feminine energy. And I was just so grateful because through that conversation, he brought his masculine energy into me. And yeah, it wasn't an easy conversation. He came from my throat, but I didn't get defensive. I just stood there and listened because I knew it was a healing moment for me. And I just danced, smiled it out, and I left, and here I am now. So I'm just sharing that because I feel like, hey, maybe it'll help somebody else that, it's just maybe you're a really pretty girl and guys don't approach you, or this might be something that's in your consciousness. And yeah.
Okay, this is a serious question for the guys. I have this conversation with my female friends, I think I'm not even kidding, once a week. So I'm just curious what the real reasoning is behind it. But most of my girlfriends say that whenever they're out, they never get approached by guys ever. And maybe one girl in the friend group who does get approached, it's not like she's a total standout from the group. But for some reason, a specific girl might just get hit on a lot. I don't know. But not even in a biased way. I think that some of my friends are very, very beautiful. Actually, I'm not just saying that to be nice. So it makes me really curious as to why guys don't go up to them. Is it one, even if you see an attractive girl, you're just hanging out with your friends, you don't really care? 2, you're just simply not attracted to her? 3, maybe you think she's just in a relationship, or she's just super standoffish and bitchy looking, or in general, you just don't want to deal with any type of rejection. Is it the guy's point of view, or is it just the girls are putting out this weird vibe, or just guys don't find them attractive? I don't know. But most of my friends want to meet guys in person, but then they go out and just nothing really happens.
So to address the few comments that I got like this before I hop into work real quick, whistling at someone is not a compliment, and there are hundreds of women in the comments saying that. I don't understand how men can continuously ignore women's opinions and think that they're still going to get attention from them and that they're still going to get some type of good reaction. If a woman is saying they hate it, maybe you should listen to them and you would get more women's attention in a positive manner.
Some of them will even say, oh, I'm used to girls walking up to me.
Insane. But
what happened to your
insane.
What happened to your natural instinct? Is that gone now? Are men just choosing not to walk up to women? Is that a thing?
Kind of a thing. Fear is real. Mental health is real. The anxiety of trying to approach someone is real.
Millennials, if you didn't know, they're the age range here. They would have had to been born between 1981 and 1996 to be a millennial. Now let's look at some of the top dating apps right now. The creator of Tinder, Sean Rad, is 37. The creator of Hinge is Justin McLeod at 39. And the creator of Bumble is Whitney Wolf Hurd at 34. Okay. They got to think to yourself here, a lot of Gen Zs are talking about how the streets are trash, there's no one out there right now. And a lot of them used to subscribe to dating apps. They've given up on dating apps. And now there's the same people that don't even know how to date. Okay. How many Gen Zs have you come across that will genuinely say, I don't even know how to walk up to a woman. I don't know how to pursue a woman. I'm not used to that. Some of them will even say, oh, I'm used to girls walking up to me.
Insane. But
what happened to your natural instinct? Is that gone now?
There's this huge problem that I've been noticing in the dating world. The good, respectful men, the men with boundaries, will not approach women because they're trying to respect their boundaries. And it is true that biologically speaking, women are far more attuned to subtleties, like body language subtleties, than men. So a lot of times, women will actually be giving off clues and cues that they want to be approached, but it's more of like they're trying to give off a vibe or something, and the man has no idea. What ends up happening is that it's the men with no boundaries, or that don't respect boundaries, or the narcissists or the creeps that end up.
What you just witnessed is the complete collapse of the sexual marketplace, and women are finally starting to panic about the consequences of their own actions. For the past 2 decades, women have systematically destroyed every avenue for men to express romantic interest while simultaneously raising their standards to impossible levels. Now they're realizing that they've created a generation of men who have simply opted out of the game entirely. Let's break down what actually happened here in excruciating detail, because this isn't just about dating. This is about the fundamental restructuring of male-female relationships in Western society and the catastrophic consequences that are now becoming impossible to ignore. Modern women spent years telling men that approaching them was harassment. They made viral videos about preferring to be alone with bears rather than men. They created an entire culture around shaming male sexuality as inherently predatory and unwelcome. They turned dating apps into ego-boosting validation machines where 80% of women chase the top 20% of men while ignoring everyone else. They labeled any man who showed persistence as a creep, any man who showed effort as a simp, and any man who showed vulnerability as weak. But this wasn't just random cultural evolution, this was a calculated power grab. Women realized they could use social shame and moral authority to restructure the dating market in their favor. By making male approach anxiety socially unacceptable to discuss, by turning male sexual interest into something inherently problematic, by weaponizing concepts like consent and safety to create impossible standards for male behavior, they could effectively eliminate 80% of men from the dating pool while maintaining plausible deniability about their hypergamous preferences. The genius of this system is that it allowed women to pursue only the top-tier men they were actually attracted to while blaming male cowardice or toxicity for the lack of options among everyone else. They could have their cake and eat it too, unlimited sexual access to high-value men while still maintaining their image as victims of male inadequacy. And now, after years of this systematic demoralization, they're genuinely confused about why men have stopped playing their game. They created an environment where the risk-reward ratio of approaching women became completely unsustainable for most men, and now they're shocked that men made the rational decision to withdraw. But here's the black pill truth they don't want to admit. Most of these women complaining about not being approached wouldn't have been interested in the men approaching them anyway. They're not upset about losing romantic opportunities, they're upset about losing attention and validation. They want men to continue taking social and emotional risks to approach them so they can have the power to reject them and feel desirable. They want the benefits of male pursuit without any of the obligations that traditionally came with it. The women you saw in these clips aren't looking for relationships, they're looking for validation. They want to be approached by men they can reject, so they can feel powerful and desired. They want the ego boost that comes from male attention without having to provide anything in return. This is why they're so angry about men withdrawing. It's not about losing potential partners, it's about losing their supply of free validation and ego stroking. The men who are still approaching women fall into 2 categories: the top-tier men who have so many options that rejection doesn't matter to them, and the bottom-tier men who are either too desperate or too socially unaware to understand the new rules. The vast middle tier of decent, average men have done the math and realized they have nothing to gain and everything to lose by continuing to participate in this rigged system. This is what hypergamy looks like when it reaches its logical conclusion. Women price themselves out of relationships with most men, and now they're facing the consequences of that decision. The 45% of women who will be single and childless by 2030 aren't victims of male cowardice. They're casualties of their own impossible standards and hostile behavior toward men. But the really insidious part is how they're responding to this crisis. Instead of taking responsibility for creating an unsustainable system, they're doubling down on blaming men. Men are too weak, too scared, too feminine, too intimidated. It's never women's fault for creating impossible standards or treating male sexuality as inherently problematic. It's always men's fault for not being brave enough to overcome the obstacles women have deliberately placed in their path. This is classic female psychology on display, the complete inability to take accountability for the consequences of their own actions. Even when confronted with overwhelming evidence that their behavior has created the problems they're complaining about, they'll find ways to make it men's responsibility to fix it. The solution isn't for men to get braver or try harder. The solution is for women to stop treating male romantic interest as inherently problematic and start taking some responsibility for creating a dating environment that actually works for both sexes. But based on everything we just saw, they'd rather blame men for being weak than examine their own role in destroying the very relationships they claim to want. Men didn't become feminine by respecting women's stated preferences about not wanting to be approached. Men became rational by recognizing a losing game when they see one. And until women are willing to admit their role in creating this mess, acknowledge their hypergamous nature, and start treating decent men with basic respect and consideration, the situation is only going to get worse. The dating market collapse isn't a bug in the system, it's a feature. Women created exactly the environment they wanted, where only the most attractive, aggressive, and socially dominant men continue to pursue them. They got rid of all the nice guys and simps who were cluttering up their options with unwanted attention. Now they have access to exactly the type of men they were always attracted to, and they're complaining because those men have too many options to commit to any one woman. This is the natural endpoint of female sexual liberation, a small percentage of men having sexual access to most women, while the majority of men are completely priced out of the market. Women achieved their hypergamous paradise, and now they're discovering that paradise isn't as satisfying as they thought it would be when everyone else is living in it too. The tragedy isn't that good men stopped approaching women. The tragedy is that women destroyed their own ability to recognize and appreciate good men when they had them. They spent so much time chasing the top 20% of men that they convinced themselves those were the only men worth having. Now they're experiencing the natural consequences of that delusion, and they want to blame everyone except themselves for the mess they created. This is why the red pill exists. This is why men are walking away. Not because we're scared or weak, but because we finally understand the game well enough to realize it's not worth playing. Women wanted a sexual marketplace based on pure hypergamy and female choice. Now they have it, and they're learning that getting what you want isn't the same thing as being happy with what you get.